Coverage, immigration has become a hot topic this election season, and Whitewater is one area seeing a growing immigrant population. Late last year, the city gained national attention due to a letter from the police chief asking President Biden for more resources to meet the growing needs. Brady Mallory visits Whitewater to show you the reality of the situation and how the city is welcoming the population and addressing certain challenges.
Like most smaller communities, Whitewater, Wisconsin is pretty middle of the road. If you look across the street, you might see a neighbor who is across the aisle.
I think it's always been pretty middle of the road. It's that the elections are usually pretty close. Pretty close.
Kay Robers has lived here her whole life, but at work, the on-site manager for the community space doesn't see politics, she sees people.
It warms your heart to know that you're able to supply these things that otherwise a lot of them wouldn't have.
The community space opened 5 years ago, and part of it includes a food pantry to help the food insecure. Robers says the need is going up. In 2019, it gave out 33,973 pounds of food. Last year, that number grew to 211,619 pounds. Robers says there are a few reasons. One, things are just more expensive, bringing in all sorts of families to the space. Two, Whitewater has also seen an increase in immigrants, mostly from Central America, like Bessie Antunes, who came here from Honduras 8 years ago. She describes what living there was like.
The truth is that one does not live very quietly because, to start, there is no security.
Bessie says the people of Whitewater have been welcoming to her and her 3 children.
I just came here for a better life, lead a better life, and get more work, because where we lived, there's not a lot of work.
City officials have estimated 800 to 1,000 immigrants have come to Whitewater between 2022 and 2023. Robers says places like the community space are trying to meet the need and welcome the new population.
Whitewater doesn't have an immigration problem. We're working with them, they're working with us, they're going to school, they're finding jobs. They're happy. It's a good situation.
Last year, a letter from the Whitewater police chief to the Biden administration addressed some of the challenges to serving a growing population and asked for more funding for more police officers and for the city to be better able to serve immigrants.
They weren't saying that it was bad that we had them. They were just saying we need help figuring out how we can work better.
The letter went viral, with politicians trying to politicize immigration here into a problem that is burdening city resources. City manager John Weidel says the reality is actually much different.
Not that there are no issues, but we have some very specific issues related to the language barrier and some specific types of call volume that we're seeing related to driving without a license.
Weidel is referring to instances of immigrants driving without licenses. As for the letter, he says it's led to outcomes the city was asking for, including a grant to help hire more officers and other funding to address staffing needs.
Senator Baldwin has made there's a direct appropriation to the city of Whitewater in the federal budget. Now that still has to go through reconciliation, but I believe that's an $80,000 appropriation that would go towards immigration liaison, which is something specifically that the chief was requesting.
As for Bessie, she says her experience has been pretty positive and most people are welcoming, but she's still faced challenges of her own. I asked her if there's ever been a time when people treated her differently because she speaks a different language.
Yes, there are some people that just try to intimidate you just because you're not from here and you don't know English.
Robers says there are other positives to having a growing immigrant population, including new businesses like this grocery store. In the future, Robers hopes the topic of immigration becomes less politicized, leading to more people crossing the aisle or even the street and meeting in the middle.
We just think about where we all came from. There isn't anyone here that wasn't originally from a family of immigrants.
As much as you can say Whitewater is representative of Wisconsin and the purpleness and the purpleness of the state, I think also we represent Wisconsin in that the median person, voter, whatever you want to call it, is generally concerned with helping their neighbor, right, and doing the right thing.